Say these 3 words once, and watch any argument collapse in silence. Arguments aren't about truth, they're about control. And the one who controls the frame wins. Most people argue emotionally. They speak faster, louder, more desperately, trying to be right instead of respected. But here's the shift. Arguments don't end when you win. They end when the other person feels your power. Not your volume, not your logic, your ability to stay composed while they spiral. That's what flips the dynamic. That's what makes them rethink their words. And it's not done through paragraphs or yelling. It's done through 3 words. 3 calmly spoken, emotionally detached words that hit harder than anything else in the room. No aggression, no escalation, just control. The moment you say them, everything changes. Stick around, because when I tell you what they are, you'll never walk into conflict the same again. People think they lose arguments because they didn't explain well enough. But that's not why they lose. They lose the moment they react emotionally. The second your tone shifts, the second you raise your voice or justify, you've handed over control. Now they're in charge of the rhythm. You're defending, they're dictating, and no one respects someone chasing approval mid-conflict. Most arguments aren't about the issue. They're power games disguised as logic, and emotional reactions signal weakness. Here's the pattern. They provoke. You react. They dominate. They interrupt. You explain. They control the room. That's why staying calm isn't passive. It's a weapon, a trap, a strategy. And the calmer you stay, the more pressure they feel. Because silence makes people confront themselves. And 3 words, said the right way, can make them rethink the entire conversation. 1. You're not wrong. Here's the first move that flips everything. Say this, calm, direct, unshaken. You're not wrong. Not sarcastic, not passive-aggressive, just clear. It shocks the system, because they're expecting defense, resistance, emotion, and instead, you offer agreement. Now they don't know where to go. They were ready for war, but you took away the battlefield. You're not wrong isn't submission. It's a redirect. It ends escalation and forces them to go deeper, or stop. They expected you to defend. You didn't. That's dominance. Most people chase approval in arguments. You gave space. You gave calm. You took control. This phrase removes their leverage and puts the emotional spotlight on them. Practice this in low-stakes moments and watch how fast the tension shifts. Reflect on how people reacted when you stayed calm instead of defensive. That contrast is where your power lives. 2. That's one way. Here's the second phrase that shifts power silently. That's one way. Just that. No follow-up, no defense. Say it. Then let the silence breathe. It doesn't attack. It doesn't agree. It simply removes validation from their statement. They say, "You always do this." You respond, "That's one way to see it." They say, "You're wrong about this." You say, "That's one way to look at it." It's disarming. It's annoying. It's unshakable. Because now you're not trapped in their narrative. You've moved the conversation sideways, off their script. You didn't argue. You didn't flinch. You just reminded them, this isn't the only frame. This phrase creates mental distance. It signals inner calm and perspective. And it forces them to reconsider their angle, or double down and lose credibility. Try it. Say nothing more. Let the weight of the pause do the rest. 3. Do you feel better? The third phrase is quiet, but it leaves a mark that lingers. After they explode, after they insult, after they finish their emotional outburst, you stay calm, you hold eye contact, and you say, "Do you feel better?" That's it. 3 words, surgical, clean, devastating. It tells them, "I saw everything. I didn't move. You lost control." And now they have to sit in it. Because you didn't give them fuel, you gave them a mirror. It reframes the entire argument. They thought they were winning. Now they realize they just embarrassed themselves. This phrase is a reset button. It silences the ego without a fight. It makes you look stronger because you stayed in control. You didn't compete. You observed. You let them talk, and then you closed it. Calm is power. Precision is power. And do you feel better is both. Keep that phrase in your back pocket. You'll know when it's time to use it. You might wonder, how can 3 simple phrases shift so much? Here's the answer. They reframe everything. Each one removes you from emotional reaction and places you in psychological control. They don't sound like power moves, but that's why they work. They're not dramatic, they're surgical. When someone tries to dominate, they expect pushback, volume, logic, defense. They feed on chaos. But when you don't feed it, they starve. You say less. You stay calm. You let their energy collapse in silence. You're not wrong. That one resets the emotional field. That's one way. That one ends their narrative's monopoly. Do you feel better? That one flips exposure back to them. These phrases aren't scripts. They're weapons in disguise. Small, cold, precise, devastating. Anyone can memorize a phrase, but without the right energy, it collapses. Power doesn't come from the words, it comes from the person behind them, from the stillness, from the self-control, the calm voice, the steady breath. The silence after you speak, that's what people remember. Most people argue to be right. You speak to create distance. You speak to shift energy. That's why emotional stillness is rare, because it takes restraint, discipline, confidence, the kind that doesn't need to win, to lead. When you pause before speaking, when you slow your response, when you look someone in the eye without flinching, you change how they see you. You become unpredictable, unshakable, untouchable. That's when respect appears, not out of fear, but presence. If this video hit different, here's your challenge. Use one of these phrases this week. Don't announce it. Don't warn them. Just drop it. Then come back and share what happened in the comments. You speak like one of us now. Welcome to the Silent Order. Subscribe. And remember, sometimes 3 words are louder than 30.